Hello everyone and welcome to So Many Games in All Time. My name is Joachim and today we'll be playing Evacuation by Vladimir Suchi. You might know him from games such as Underwater Cities. That's the only one I'm going to mention because it's one of my favorite games. I've played this game twice now, once with 3 people and once solo, and today we'll play the solo game again. So let me first talk to you about what this game is all about. Basically, at this very moment, we are all living on the old world, but sadly, this world is no longer very habitable. It's basically we have to leave. We have to evacuate, okay? So that's the idea of the game. We are here now, and we're trying to get here. By the end of the game, we will be here, and whoever is still here at the end of the game will be lost, and will actually give you negative points on penalties in the form of these guys. The other side is actually positive points. These are all 3 points, by the way. So that's what we're trying to do, actually, and we will be doing this in 4 rounds only. Now this game has 2 variants. We have the points race, and then we have the race, and then we have the points variation. Now we are going to be playing the points because you can play the advanced mode there, which allows you to use these cards with actions. If you play a race, you only use these bottom actions without this token. And that's a little bit too, and it's not my style, let's put it like this. I enjoy the more complicated version, which was this. So basically we're playing solo points version with the advanced cards, okay? Now, okay, during the game, we have 7 steps that we'll be doing each round. First of all, there's income. Now, you need to realize we have the old world and the new world, and that is also shown on your player board. Now, the way the player board is set up now, you can see this is the new world, left side, this is the old world, right side. If someone would be sitting across from me, they would be able to flip their board so that the old side is here and the new side is there. So this board is double-sided just to make sure when you are playing, the worlds line up. Otherwise, it's a little bit confusing. So it says income. That means that the old world will only get income from what is produced in the old world, and the new world will only get income what is produced in the new world. So these 3 markers here are used to keep track of your production level in the new world. The old world doesn't have this because you simply count your tokens. You can see these faces here. These are colonists, so people. And you see the squares, those are factories. Now you also see the squares all look a little bit different. Like this is one line, this is a double line, this is kind of like cut, you know, or dotted, whatever. And the same thing for the people. This is for people who are colorblind. They can still recognize the different types, okay? Aside from that, it has no meaning. That's purely for the colorblindness. You also have 2 oceans that give you stuff. So this brings us to the 3 resources. You have energy, which is orange. You have steel, which is black, and then you have food, which is green, okay? So yes, in this game, you will have to feed your people. That is also what is set here. 0, this is for the new world, and this 5 is for the old world. So the first round, you will have to feed your people 5. Next round is just 4, and then the next round is 2, 2, 2 from the new world, 2 from the old world, and then 4, 1. But I'll talk more about that later on. So these people are here. So of course, the first income phase, you're not going to get anything from the new world because there's nothing there. Here, however, you will simply count the symbols. So let's do orange. So energy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would take 7 energy. The big cubes are 3, the small cubes are 1. So I can already put this here. Now, we're playing the solo game. There are still some steps in setup we have to go through, but I will do the income anyway. It has no effect on the rest of the setup. So it's very easy. Everything is 7, okay? So I'll also get 7 food very quickly. Now I didn't take all of the resources out because I'm playing solo, so I'm not going to need that much anyway. There's already too much there, but okay, so this is 777, okay? And then it says check. Check is how much do we need to pay the first round. So 0 food for the new world, because there's also no one there, but 5 has to come from here. So instantly you lose 5 food, okay? So I get 1 back. that is what happens automatically. Now you could argue, why would you get it? Why would you give yourself 7 in the first place when you already lose 5? I guess it's just to immediately show people how the different phases work, right? Okay, so that's the income check that is now done, all right? Then we have actions. Now, when you play the race version, you only do these bottom actions and that's it. You will still use these cards, but you only put it at the bottom to show that you've used this one, okay? If you play the advanced version, you do what it says on the other side of the card. But first, let's see how an action works. When you play an action, you either play a card for what it says in the points version, or you play an action face down. Play a card face down and do the action, one of these 4. And then you move, well, first of all, you move this forward. This would be our first card. Okay, so let's say I do this, up, do my action, 1. Next time it comes back to me, it's my turn again. We go to 2, put another card down, maybe here again, maybe there, it doesn't matter. But then 3, and then you see here, now we have 1 energy token. That means to do this action, if I want to play my 3rd card, I have 2 now. If I want to play my 3rd card, I need to pay 1 energy. So 1 energy goes away. Then next time, I have to pay 2, 3, 3, 3. So you can see energy is important. And this is very important. Also, we have this little part here that says 4+, has nothing to do with players. It has to do with the amount of cards underneath one action. So if I want to do this action 4 times, that's fine. But if I do it the 5th time, alongside the cost that I pay here already, I will have to pay 1 extra energy. Okay, just so you know, doing the same thing will be more and more and more expensive. So what are some of the actions that you can do in this game? Let's start with the simple icons first. Let's say I put a card here. This means I just get a resource of my choice. Now, because we're playing like this, even that is already quite interesting. Because let's say I want to get energy, then I might want to say, okay, I can put it in the old world or I can put it in the new world. Same goes for food and for steel. And for all 3 of them, there are reasons why you would want to put it here, or why you would not want to put it there or anywhere else. I'll talk more about that later on as I talk about what these are actually used for. So these are these 2, right? You're gonna have to choose one of the 2, obviously. Now, then we have these 2 buildings. The buildings you see here, right? Now these buildings mostly have to do with settling, which I will talk about in a minute. So I'm going to come back to the buildings after I've explained settling, because it will make a lot more sense. Suffice to say, these buildings, you can see the icon is the same. It is doing the building action is you take 1 card in your hand, it's not played, and then another action would be to play it. But more about it later. I'll get back to it in a second. Okay. Here we have take 1 resource and do perform 1 research. So this is your research. Now you can see you have 1, 2, and 3, and on the back of these tokens you also have number 2 and number 2. So I'm playing with set 2. There are 4 sets, and when you set up, these will actually be randomized. The 3s have to be on the top, the 2s in the middle, the 1s at the bottom, but they'll be randomized, so quite often it won't be the same setup. Okay. So basically, how do you do research? It's very simple. You just take 1 of these tokens. Research is free, no need to pay for it, and you put it on the circle. Now you can see the level 1s, they only have 1 circle. The other ones have 2 circles. So how does that work? Let's say I put it here, This action now becomes available. I will talk more about these actions after I explain everything, because then it makes sense what they do. At the moment, they won't make much sense, but I'll just explain the mechanic. So you put it here. Right now, this effect is active, right? If you do another research action later on, then in another marker, you can either go here and here, or you go upwards, okay? You cannot go diagonally, only orthogonally. So I can put one here if I want to, or I can go up. Now, when you go up, it is not immediately activated. I just put it on the left, and it's not activated yet. If I do another research action, then it moves to the right, and from now on, it is activated. So it's on the right side, active, left side, not yet. It just means you're doing it, but you're not quite there yet. So later on, you do another action, hub, another action, hub, and now all 3 are active. If there's a lightning, it means one time. If there's no lightning, it means continuously, ongoing, okay? Now, near the end of the game, you might run out of these, so I suggest you just keep the one on the tile that you've, the highest position. So if you have it like this, I would just remove these two, and this basically indicates you've done these two already, right? That's how I would do it, anyway. So that is research. That's very easy to explain. Then if you go here, there are three things. Now, we have settle on the left, we have build a ship, and build an arena, a stadium, not an arena, a stadium, build a stadium. So you start with one stadium already, that's over here, but this stadium does not give you any happy faces. Happy faces, you can see one happy face, no, I have no happy faces here, but you can see a happy face here because this is the stadium offer. When you build a stadium, you can just immediately build it from here. You do not need to take it in your hand first or whatever. You just need to pay for it. So this is 1 steel, 2 steel, 1 energy, or 1 food. But bear in mind, when you pay for it, it has to come either from the old world or from the new world. So if you pay from the old world, it will actually go to the old world. If you pay from the new world, it'll go to the new world. So in the beginning of the game, you will not be able to do it. But you may be at the end of round 1 or during round 1, you will be able to do it and then immediately get it here. So why do you need stadiums? The smiley faces are important because whoever has the most smiley faces at the end of the game will get 6 points, second person 4, and the third one 1 point. If you play a 2-player game, only the first person gets 4 points, and the second person gets nothing. But also it's important for turn order. As you can see, it's 1, 2, 3 at the moment. I'm 1 because that's how the solo rule starts. But after the first round, if I have no smiley faces and the AI suddenly has 1 even, then they will go in front of me. And turn order is important when you do progress, but that will become clear later on, okay? So why is it important? Why would you build in the new world or the old world? What are the consequences? Well, if you build them in the old world, they do not count. They don't count towards this track right here. We are now at in the first round, so you don't need any stadiums. Second round, you don't need any. Third round, if you don't have a stadium, then you will get a penalty. That's -3 points in the game. Then 2 stadiums, and then finally 3 stadiums, okay? So you need to make sure that you have them or you will get penalized. And you say, okay, we need to build it in the new world, but how are we going to get it there if this one is stuck here? Well, that's what you have the ships for. Now, normally these ships are below the board, okay, and the stack is over here, but because I want to have a tighter filming view, I put it here and my board beneath it, okay? So these are the 3 ships. First of all, you see the cost in the top left corner is 3 steel, 2 food, 2 steel, 1 food, 3 steel, 1 food, yeah? So these ships are used obviously to transport things. You're going to be using them to transport these to the new world, to basically evacuate people or move factories to the new world. And also resources, as you can see here, 5 resources, 1 and 1. That doesn't mean that you get those resources, by the way. It just means that you can transport them. And here is 1 factory or 1 stadium. The other ones don't have it. And then you have the planets, but it's not the planets, it just means the soil, the terrain. So this means mountain, so gray. That means you can transport this, this, or this because it has a gray color code here. This one is desert or ocean, I guess. So you can look for yellow and blues. So here, okay. And then this one has 2 blues, okay. Now, you might notice this middle one here does not have anything. Now, when you buy a ship, let's say we'll take this guy because it looks pretty interesting. Normally it goes to the top of your ship board, but I don't have space there. So I'm just going to put it next to my board. You put it here, and at the end of the round, you're going to transport. Now, this one to travel costs 2 energy. 2 energy, only 1 energy. But let's say I did this one. So you need to make sure you have 2 energy left. Now I'm just going to take from the supply, but normally you take it from your board, obviously. Since I bought the ship, it goes from I paid it with this, it goes here. If I pay it with these resources, it'll go to the new world, okay? but often you'll be buying it in the old world because that's much easier. So you put it here, and then I see, okay, you know what? I want to transport a mountainous area. So let's say I take these guys. Now these guys are producing 2 energy for me, right? So if I evacuate them, I flip them over. So I don't move this token, no, I just flip it over and I take 2 tokens. These are people, so they go here. So technically they are no longer working to get me energy. Right now they're just colonists. So if I move them to the new world, I might end up making them work in energy again, or I might turn them into farmers, or they might get some steel for me, or they might just hang around in orbit and never get settled on the planet. As long as they are gone from here and here, you are safe, okay? So let's say I put these 2 guys here, right? To get this one out, I can just see it as a building, because this is factory, right? I can just see it as a factory. So I can remove it like this, and then take one of these and put it here, okay? Or, of course, instead of that one, I can take this one as well, put it here, okay? I cannot take this one because it's yellow and blue and I only have gray, all right? So let's say I do the green one, right? And then I have 5 resources. I could say, okay, I'm gonna take these here, so the 2 plants and the 3 steel. Now, the transportation only happens after all the actions are finished, when people have finished their round. So most likely there won't be this much on here. I mean, definitely not the resources, they'll probably be spent. The other stuff will probably still be there, okay? But that is how you fill your ship, and that is how you get people out of there. You do not touch the oceans, they will disappear gradually. I'll explain that later, okay? That is how you fill your ship, okay? That's how you buy your ship, and that's how you fill it. The moment you buy it, a new ship will come out, all right? So I'm gonna leave the ship here, just to be able to talk about transport later on. So that is building a ship, yeah? And I talked about the stadiums as well. I forgot. So this stadium, instead of the factory, can actually transport a stadium. So then this one would not go here, and this one go here. So you can then transport a stadium instead of a factory. So you can see it has to be either one, all right? Either you move this stadium to the other side, or you move one of these to the other side. When you do transport, okay, you pay the energy to fly to the left. That costs 2 energy, right? But if the ship goes back, you only pay 1 energy, okay? And that's it. But of course, the energy has to come from here. So if your ship is here and you have no energy, it cannot fly back, all right? That's important, okay? So I'll leave it like this for now because of the example, and then I'll get back to it later. Okay, so next step is settle. Now, as you can see, I have nothing here yet. But let's say I have 2 people here and I have 2 factories here. And that also brings me to the fact, like, you only have 4 factories of each. So if you build factories, more about that later, if you build factories, but you don't, let's say I have 4 energy here already, energy factories, I will not be able to get this one out because I ran out of tokens. So it's very important to realize that you don't prefab, that's what it's called when you put them into orbit, basically. When you prefab factories, just keep in mind, you also need to get rid of these 3. Don't do it too quickly, otherwise you will have a problem, or you will definitely get minus points at the end of the game. So let's say I have this stuff here, right? And let's give me some money. Here we go. So, that's the next one. Let's say I want to colonize. Now, in the beginning of the game, I can only colonize here. Settle. I'm saying colonize, it's settle, okay? I can only settle here in the, what is it called? I can just say in the gray area, but it has an actual name, but it's called the tundra. Okay, I can only settle in the tundra. When our satellites go farther and go past this spot here, then I can start settling in the desert. They go past the forest here, I can settle in the forest. They go past the oceans, I can settle in the oceans, right? There are other ways sometimes to settle in other areas faster, but that has to do with technologies and so on. So settling is very simple. You just look at where you can do it. You have some spaces that have extra icons, like these two yellow dots. You also have this little vortex black hole thing. You can see them here as well. So if you don't have these icons, you cannot settle there, okay? There are two ways to get these icons. There are cards, 3 ways, sorry. There are cards who give you the icons. Your satellites might be occupying a space that have icons. Or you have something on your board, a technology like this one, ignore one symbol required when settling, that allows you to settle as well. But if you have no symbols whatsoever, you can still settle on several locations, and that applies to every terrain type, okay? So even if you play a whole game without symbols, you can still settle. It'll just be not as good, basically. So let's say I have 3 colonists here and 2 factories. Let's say I want to colonize here. Let's say I have 2 icons, right? So then I could put my factory here. It's very simple. 1 factory, that means my energy goes up, 1. And then 2 colonists. It's 2 times black. So that means my steel is going to go up twice. And also for each colonist you put down, you have to pay 1 steel. Even if I'm not going there, and let's say I just put 2 people here, it is a farmer and electricity, right? Energy. It's still 2 steel, okay? Just having people go down and building the buildings, whatever, it costs steel, their houses. So you have to pay 1 steel per person to put them there, okay? So depending on how and where you settle, that's how that works, okay? So why is settling important? Because I was going to explain, well, first of all, it's the only way to increase your production. So that's why it's important. But also it has to do with the buildings. So I have 1 settlement here now, right? So let's say I was able to settle even farther, and I was able to put a factory here and another steel here. So say +1 for both. Let's say it's like that. Now, then and let's say I'll do another one, just for example's sake, another energy. Boom. I don't know why I'm not focusing on food. I should, but whatever. Then I look at one of these building cards and I check, okay, I'll do a building action from here, and I say, actually, I can do this now because I have 1 factory in the tundra, and I have tundra and 1 factory in the desert. So I can do it. I cannot do this one because I'm not in a forest. I cannot do this one because I don't have anything in the oceans. Now, even if I can't do it, it doesn't stop me from taking it, okay? Even at the end of the game, if you have a couple of buildings, it doesn't give you any negative points or whatever. I can take it, and then with another building action, I can pay the cost, in this case, 1 steel, and then build it. Let's say I spend this steel, build it here. This has 2 plants, so now my production goes up twice. There is no exclamation mark here, which means there's only 1 card of this in the game. However, these ones also don't have one, but this one does. And that means that you cannot have more than 1 of these. So basically the pictures, they cannot be the same picture twice, okay? And this one requires 4 settlements in tundra, but you get a lot of stuff. So how it works is basically you can take the cards whenever you want, but then when you play them, they become active and you pay the cost. You can even pay the cost and play them and put them like this, and they don't become active. But once you have the requirements, you just flip it over and now it's active, okay? So up to you if you want to build them early, but they don't do anything yet, or you only build them when they immediately become active. That's up to you. So the moment, let's say I have 2 actions, right, to build buildings, I can take one, reveal another one, and then so on. So it gets replenished immediately as well. So there are some other things with colonizing. Remember, this is tundra, so this one is already oceans, okay? So make sure you don't make that mistake. And some of them have like circles inside the circle. That means double or triple production. So you can see the oceans have some very nice locations, like triple energy, triple steel, triple food. Well, the forests have some doubles as well. The other 2 do not have any doubles. But those also can really boost your production. Why would you want to boost your production in New World as much as possible? Well, because you're moving stuff, so you want to keep your engine active. In the beginning, you've got a very healthy action, engine, sorry. But as the game continues, this is going to go down, so you need to make sure this goes up. Also, at the end of the game, you will score points for the lowest one that you have here, the lowest, okay? But more about that later on. Okay, so that is settle. Once again, when you place these factories, they cost nothing. When you place people, it's 1 steel per person. All right? Okay. And how do you get people? Well, we'll talk about that now. So these actions have been done. Also, in the solo mode, when you do this action, you flip it over and you cannot do it again. All right? But in the race option, you can do them as many times as you want. So we'll go here. So once again, we have a double building action, but I've explained everything that you need to know about buildings now. Some of them might have some special requirements, as you can see on the cards, but you can look that up in the rule book. But I'll explain this one. Just means these have to be diagonally, not next to each other, because you can see that's not possible. But it could be like 1 here, and then 1, 2, and then you've got it. Or in a different direction as well. Okay, so just so you know. Next one is clones. This means you spend 1 food and you get 2 clones. And this is here. You cannot build clones here. You can see it here. You can only prefab factories or stadiums. Here, you can also do clones. So when you spend 1 food here, you get 2 clones. Okay? Even if there's nothing there yet, let's just say your survey ship, that's what the rule book says, your survey, the survey people are just cloning themselves. So you would get 2 colonists, which you can then use in a later action to settle. All right, that's a very simple action. Then the next one is you prefab a factory. So I already told about the factories that we have, right? So you just choose one that you want, either a farm or a steel factory or an energy factory, whatever, and you basically pay the resource. So green, so food for this, black, so steel for this, and then orange, energy for this. And then you put it here in orbit. So you take one of this, if you do steel, and now it's there, and later on you can settle that one as well. So that's also fairly simple to explain. You can do it on either side, but remember, if you use resources from here, it comes here. If you use resources from here, it comes here, okay? And if it comes here, you have to transport it to the other side. Finally, basically what we already know, this is, once again, research. This one is gain 1 resource, which you can choose where, and then exchange. Now, when you exchange, let's say I want to get myself an extra turn and I get rid of 3 steel for 3 energy, I have to put them all where it came from. I cannot say, oh, I'll put 1 energy here and 2 there. No, what you exchange has to go to the same place where it came from. Very important, okay? But this action is very important in general because it'll allow you to keep your turns going. Also because it allows you to basically exchange 3 things to energy. And also something else, which I will refer to later on, all right? Okay, so these are all the actions, but then you also have the cards. So I don't really want to reshuffle everything, so I'll just take some examples here. For example, we have this card. Play only if you have the symbol, build a ship. So why is this a good card? Actually, no. I will talk about this after I've explained the other mechanics because it'll make more sense, especially for this card. I'm going to put it here, and first I'm going to explain the other steps. So let's say we've done all the actions. Actions are finished. Boom, done. Number 3, transport. So now this ship is going to fly to the other side. Of course, you need to do the sound. I'm not even sure if the ship is in view here. It is not really that well in view. So let me adjust that a bit. There we go. So this will then move to the left. Then the energy, of course, goes away. And then everything else is dropped off in the new world. Okay? Including this stadium. So now this stadium will count towards this. Now this stadium does not have any happy faces, so it doesn't help me for that. But I can always build more ones later on. So that's done. Transport. Then turn order. We look at the smiley faces. Who has the most smiley faces? Who will be first, and then second and third. If there's a tie, people swap positions. Okay? All right, that's turn order. Then progress. Progress is very important and is the main reason why I haven't explained these cards yet, okay? The same thing with bonuses, which is the next step. I'll explain these cards after that. So progress basically means you look at how much you have spent here. So let's say I have done these actions, okay? And then after that, I passed. So after doing these actions, I count what I've done. So let's say this is solo. This is actually nothing. So I have 2 cards here, and those cards are of the value of 2. So it's 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So I have 11. So what does that mean? I am yellow. So with my satellites, these 2, I can move them forward 11 steps. But I have to, of course, divide it between the 2, or just move 1 11 and 0 for the others. But I can just choose how many they each move, but I have to move the full amount of 11 in this case. Once again, this card is underneath 4. So you do 4 plus 3, 7, and then 2 2s is 4. So 4 plus 3, 7, plus 4, 11. So you start counting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you start looking at what icon do I really want? What is something that I can really use? So for example, if you want to have an extra resource, you can say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, I'm going to go, I'm going to destroy my, my whole thing here. So 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I have 3 left. So 1, 2, 3. It's pretty good. I have a lot of yellow dots, fine, but I do get a resource, okay? There's a big limit. So I have 11, right? So technically it's 8. I could do 9, 10, 11. Ooh, I get a research. No, I cannot. Because your 2 satellites can never be 2 sections apart. Only 1. So I'm forced to stop here and then move this one 1. Which is still not bad because I have both icons, which will make it a lot easier to settle wherever I want. Okay? So it always comes down to what do I want to do and what can I do and so on. So what is this other stuff? This means if one satellite passes this point, one ocean flips over. So of course it's going to be -1 to production. So it's going to be 666, right? If both of them pass, then another ocean disappears. So 5, 5, 5, 5, right? So you are forced to settle to make up for the losses. And here, if you pass here, I already said it, you can start settling on the tundra if one of them passes. If both of them pass, then one of these oceans becomes active here, and then all of these go forward 1 step. Okay? If both of these pass here, if one of them passes, you can start settling in forest. If both of them pass, this second ocean arrives, and then again, +1 to everything. All right? Okay. Then here, if you pass here, if one of them passes, you can start settling in oceans. If 2 of them pass, it doesn't really matter. If you reach the end, it doesn't really matter. You don't get any special points or whatever. Okay? While your markers are here, if they haven't passed here yet, then, as you can see here, all your energy for your actions have to be paid from the old world. The moment one of them passes, then it could be from both sides. If both of them pass this point, then it has to come from the old world. So basically you can be like this, and then you can always pay from both sides. But the moment this one crosses, only here. So it's very important, because then whatever you produce here is useless unless you transport it over. There's another reason why progress is important. Not only for turn order, of course, because if you're first, you can make sure you have all the nice stuff. If you're second or third or fourth, you know, in a 3 to 4 player game, no, in a 4 player game, you have these 3 tracks available. So let's say I'm here and I'm here, and then pink was able to go here, but then they only had this left. In a 1, 2, 3 player game, they cannot go here. This track does not work. Okay, so it goes here then. In a 4 player game, they will still be able to go here. But then if gray would be here, they'd have to go there. Okay. Also, the next round, if we move again and the turn order has changed and pink gets to go first, everything gets moved up, basically. Because no spots can be blocked by anyone from a previous turn. So pink could then go here, no problem. And then I will still move this one forward anyway, maybe, or not, and it'll just stay there. But the spots cannot be blocked in a subsequent turn, okay, in the next turn. So that's why it's quite important. But it's another reason why it's important, the number of movements, so I have 11 now, are the bonuses. Now there are two ways these bonuses work. You have the normal way and the generous way. If you play solo, and if you play, well, in general, if you play point system with the cards, you need to do the generous version. If you just play race, you do the normal version. So in the normal version, if you have exactly 7, you get the bonus. So in this case, 1 food and 1 technology. Or if you have exactly 7, 1 food and you can make 1 exchange. So change 1 resource to another. In the generous version, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you get this. If you have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you get this. If you go over it, you get nothing. Okay? But of course, if you go over it, you can go much farther here. So it's also a trade-off. Now, there are goal cards, more about that later, that will make it more interesting to try to go for these goals. But yeah, that's something that you might want to think about. And if you do the basic version, the race version is just these numbers, right? But if you play solo and you use the, if you use the points version, then the cards become very important. So let me show you this. When you play the advanced points, well, before I say this, I should say after we do the bonuses, then it's cleanup. Basically, the boards get reset and everything, and then we continue to the next round. So in this case, this would go away, this would go away, they'll move to the right, this ship would go away, they'll move to the right. This new card would be released, this goes down. So next time we do income, we have to pay for food. You pay after the income, of course. Yeah, and that's basically it for cleanup. As far as I know, this gets reset, of course. If you're here, you go back down. All your cards go away, and so on. So when you do the race version, you obviously don't use cards and you don't use points. When you do the points version, you're only going to add these goal cards, more about them later, and do some endgame scoring, more about this later. But you can also add the advanced action, which is what I'm going to explain now. So in the beginning of the game, you're going to get 7 cards. Okay, here are the 7 cards that I have now. Now you can see these cards have numbers on them: 3, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 1, 4. Because let's say I play this card, play only if you have the symbol, build a ship. If I play this, it doesn't go underneath here. I'm just going to place it here next to it. Normally it goes underneath here, but for video purposes, I'm going to put it here. This number will count towards the progress, okay? So at the moment I have 4. You also have cards. Now there's no example here. It's this one, for example, which has 3 options, okay? That means when we go to the progress and the bonuses, you can choose which one you use, either the 3, the 4, or the 5 when you're counting. So let's say you have this, you put this next to it, okay? So now you either have 7, 8, or 9. And you're going to keep going. You can still just, if you decide, oh, I don't like this action, you just flip it over and you do one of these actions, okay? So you're going to start the game with 7 cards and you're going to discard down to 4. And then let's say I keep these 4. And then every round you play a card, either face up here, or I'm going to put it here now, or face down. That's it. But of course, these actions are much more interesting than what's here. For example, here you can research the technology and settle a site. This combination is not here, okay? Or here, research technology, you make 1 exchange. This year you have this settlement symbol. Like I said, you can have the symbols through cards or through here or through your board. This action costs 1 less energy. That means, for example, if I'm here, and then it's my 5th card, I go here and I play this one, I actually only pay 2 energy instead of 3, thanks to this. Also gain 2 steel and 1 food, I can choose where they go, right? So these cards make it infinitely more interesting, so I would suggest to do that. When the round ends, you will have 4 cards in your hand still, but then next round you draw 3 new ones and you once again discard down to 4. You can always have 4 cards at the start of your turn. Even if something happens which allows you to draw more cards, discard down to 4 before your turn starts. okay? So that's the advanced action for the cards. So it makes everything more interesting, if you ask me. But yeah. So then we have the points. In the beginning of the game, you will do a draft. Basically, everybody will get 4 goals. You will choose one that you like, and then pass to the next person. They will choose one. So everybody has 4, everybody chooses one, and then passes around. You take another one, pass around, take another one, pass around. And then you end up with 4, and from those 4, of course, you look at what it looks like. You will choose one, and then, you will remove one, and you will keep the other 3, okay? You keep 3, you remove 1. And those will be your scoring cards for the end of the game. Now, the game has this goal cards overview of how you get points. And yeah, I'm not going to go over that, but that's just part of the way that you score points. How else do you score points? Well, at the end of the game, you're going to check your income, your resources, and you check how much your lowest is. So if your lowest is 5, you'll get 5 points. If it's less than 5, you get nothing. So you want to make sure you get at least 5. If your lowest is 10 plus, 10 is 19, and if it's higher, you'll get 3 for every extra one. So, Then for the happy faces, I already said it. Whoever has the most has 6, then 4, then 1. But in the solo or 2-player game, it's 4 and 0. Then you check for everything that you've left. For every circle here that was not turned over, you lose 2 points. But if it's one with people on it, you lose 2 points plus 1 for every person. Okay, so basically 1 would be 4 minus 4 points. All right. And then for every stadium you don't have, you lose 3 points. And then if you can't feed your people throughout the game, for every food you can't do it, you can't pay, you lose 3 points. And then of course you score your 3 cards. Okay, that is how the scoring goes. Also, let's take a look at the research here, the science. Once again, every player board is different, okay, has different tiles. So the one that I here started here is level 2, so I'll just quickly go over what it does. For example, here when you settle, ignore one symbol requirement when settling, okay? So this speaks for itself. Like if you need 1 yellow dot, I can just ignore it and settle there anyway. Once per action phase, you may perform this action without advancing your marker. So basically, I can get 1 resource and exchange 3, and then this will not move, okay? Which is pretty cool, honestly, because it allows you to exchange and actually get an extra action later on. This one here means settle an ocean site for free. That means if you get this, you can do one of these areas, which can be huge if you have the right icons. It can really boost you. Now, this is one that everybody has, all right? I'm 100% sure about that. This one here, when loading ships, one of your evacuation bays can match any color. So evacuation base is basically these planets that are those terrains. So you can match any color, one of them. It's pretty cool. Once per action phase, gain a factory. So whenever we start a new round, you can get a new action phase from here, okay? So basically, if you get it really early, you can get 4 free factories. That's what it means. And of course, of any type. Then here, gain a food factory. All your food factories produce 1 food more. So obviously this board likes food. So you should focus on food, most likely. And then here, whenever your lead progress marker, so that means the satellite, right, passes a transition, these black ones, you gain 1 resource. So if you get that early, it can also be interesting. Your progress markers can stop on occupied spaces, also gain 2 resources. I think it can be nice if you're really bad at getting this, and like you can still get what you want. But I think I like it more because of the 2 resources. And here, build a stadium, choose 1 production marker and increase it once for each stadium you have. So if you do this, of course it's a level 3 tech, but if you already have like 4 stadiums and then you build one, then you can increase everything by 5, which would be huge, okay? But, it's a lot of research you need to do, and you only have X amount of turns, so it can be challenging when it comes down to that. All right, I think that kind of does it for the rules. So it takes a while to wrap your head around it, paying for everything and so on, and transporting the right time and so on. At the moment, my scores have just been mediocre, so we'll see what happens when I play the solo game. And of course, I also have to talk about how to play solo. I haven't forgotten. Well, actually, I did, but I edited it, so here I am. Okay, so how do you play solo and how is it different? Well, first of all, you're going to be playing a 2-player game, but in some cases, it's a 3-player game. So a 2-player game because you only have one automa, which is here, okay? And what you need to know right from the bat is that this card only goes into the deck in the 3rd round. So not yet, okay? So 3rd round, it will start getting an extra settle action, potentially. So, how does this automa deck work? You can see it has numbers, 2, X, 1, 3, and 2, and 1. So what you do is, you will just simply flip a card, and then do the action depending on what it says here. Now, this means there's an X. It's actually already a perfect example, because if this had been any other action, X would have meant nothing happens. But because it is settle, it still happens, it becomes a 4. So how does that work? You have this little icon, this little token here, okay? You put it on all the way to the left side of the tundra, and you're gonna be going around the world, all right? So in this case, 4 spaces, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to look at the letter A and then 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that means they are going to be colonizing or settling that area. Nothing else happens. They don't have a board. Nothing goes up. Nothing gets added. No, they just block a spot. Okay. So this could also have been B, and then you count the other direction. Okay. And this does not reset. It just keeps going around. All right. So let's say next time, so that would be my turn, right? But then it's back to them. This time they're going to get a ship. So it means 1. 1 means this one. So this ship will just go back to the bottom of the deck and a new one comes out. Okay. So they just take it away. Then we have a building action. Same thing again. 3. So this is 1, 2, 3. This one goes to the bottom of the deck and a new one is revealed. Done. Next one. This is a stadium. This is different because number 2, 1, 2. They will build this stadium. Okay, so I'll put this stadium here next to the tokens. From now on, they have 2 smiley faces. And if I don't have any smiley faces later on, after everything's over and we do turn order, then they actually supposed to be like this, then they will jump me. Okay, and the way the turn order works is we have 3 civilizations instead of just 2. All right, you'll be mostly using any color for the second civilization that you're playing with. The third one only needs 3 tokens, 1 here and 2 here, nothing else. So how do you count this civilization then when it comes to smiley faces? Well, depending on the amount that they have, they always have 2.5 less than them. So in this case, they have 2, so they still just have 0. So if I have 1, I'll stay here. But if I have 0 as well, and it ends like this, then we would swap. Because if it's a tie, you swap, okay? But let's say in the beginning, you start first, and they will be second and third. But they will most likely build these stadiums, unless, of course, there's an X, as you saw before. And then the next action, up, another building action. But let's say this building action actually had this card. Where is it? Then it would have done no action at all because it has an X, all right? So let's say the next action is then a ship, remove the ship, and then when it's their turn again, there's only 1 card left, so their round is over, done, okay? And remember, 3rd round, you add this card to the deck. Another thing that's important is when it comes down to the stadiums. In round 1 and 2, the maximum of smiley faces that can be on a card is 3. So the 4 and 5s will immediately be put on the bottom and replaced by something else. So the moment you see the beginning is fine, no smiley faces, 2 and no. But if it had been 4, 3, 3, then the 4 would have to be removed, replaced by something else. Okay? So that's basically how that works, the solo mode. That's how they block you. Then what happens during transport? Well, nothing, they don't have ships. What happens in turn order? I already explained, especially with this one who has 2.5 less, always. What happens during progress? Well, during progress, it's a little bit different. So let's say I'm still first player, I just do my thing, and then it is pink. So they say you draw a card and then you choose the number, right? But I always just choose whatever last number was there because I don't want to reshuffle. So let's say it's 1, okay? And when the round number, right, the round number is odd, because right now it's 1. If it is odd, then the solo player during the progress phase, they will move the higher amount. So 12. So they're going to move 12. And the second civilization, so gray in this case, they will move 12. They will move the lower amount, so 7. And we drew 1. So basically, one of them will do 1 and the other one will do 10. So they'll block this and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom. And this one will be the lower one, also with the 1. So 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll be here. Okay? But in this case, I would have gone first, but you know that's how it works. So in the next round, let's say they then stopped with 3, right? Let's say it's like this. Well, let's just say we have the same numbers, but now it's an even round. In an even round, they both go the same amount. So they'll both do the highest. They'll both do 12. But because it's 3, the one who's in the lead will do 1, 2, 3, and then this one will do 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then for gray, it will be 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So here, okay? So that's how that works. There are 2 things. One thing, when they settle, right, and they try to settle on a spot that's already been settled, they just don't do the action at all. So it's just already there, either me or somebody else. They just don't do anything at all. It just gets blocked, okay? And the second one is, in the beginning of the game, when you do the choosing the gold cards, when you draft, basically, then you will be, there's nobody else to draft with. So what you're going to do is, you're going to give yourself 4 cards, and then the AI 4 cards, you're going to choose one, you're going to discard one, and then like this, you choose one, they discard one, and like this, then boom, 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 up, and then from these 4, you choose 3, and then that's it, okay? I think that's it for the solo. Okay, so that is the explanation. I'm going to reset everything, and then I'm going to have myself a playthrough, and then, well, we'll see how I do. Feel free to join me in the playthrough. I'm going to end this video here, and then, yeah, start playing. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. My name was Joachim. This was So Many Games So Little Time, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.